says is that there is no such thing as a GCC any longer.
Yeah.
This is not a united entity in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the division between Saudi Arabia and the Emirates actually appears to be deeper than that between Iran and the UAE, and that between the Iran and UAE is very, very deep. And you have very different perspectives in Doha and Muscat compared to Manama and Abu Dhabi about what direction the region's security should go going forward. Some of them are going to do exactly what John said. They're going to find some sort of a way of having a balance with Iran and some sort of a coexistence. They're probably going to include economic integration as part of that as a security measure to make sure that it raises the cost of any future conflict and raises or reduces the incentives for it. Whereas others like the UAE and perhaps Bahrain, potentially even Kuwait, would go in an opposite direction and try to complement the failure of the American security umbrella by intensifying their collaboration with Israel. I think that would be an extremely foolish mistake. In fact, I think the Abraham Accords that the Emiratis signed with the Israelis is part of the reason why they're now in this terrible situation. They had an enmity with Iran, and Israel had its own enmity with Iran. The Israeli enmity with Iran is much, much deeper than the Iranian Emirati enmity. But the Emiratis made themselves a frontline state in Israel's battle with Iran, despite the fact that they're so much closer to Iran geographically. So they're taking the brunt of that. There's been arguments in the Iranian press that as part of a potential failure of a deal, and there's some new status quo between between Iran and Israel in the region, the Iranians should respond to any Israeli attack in Lebanon by attacking the UAE. Lebanon, or at least Hezbollah, is an Iranian ally, and UAE is openly saying that they are now a strategic ally of Israel. So if the Israelis strike an Iranian ally, Iran will strike an Israeli ally. How on earth is that in any way, shape, or form in the UAE's interest to end up becoming that type of an arena for the Israeli-Iranian rivalry? And if the Kuwaitis were to do the same, they're even closer. They have a land border with Iran. That would be absolutely insane in my view. But unfortunately, that risk does exist, and it would be very bad for the region as a whole. I think a movement towards a security architecture that is built on inclusive security, that is not trying to organize half the region against the other half in the manner that the Abraham Accord did, is the right way forward. I think there's far greater maturity in the region to move in that direction compared to 10 years ago. Emotions, of course, are very, very high right now because of the ongoing war. But I do think that there's a higher likelihood, not high, but a higher likelihood in a movement in that direction than any period that I've seen in the last 25 years. And also a realization that at the end of the day, if the United States and Israel, one superpower and the other one a nuclear power, could not take out Iran, none of these other states stand a chance in a conflict. So they have to find some way of coexisting with Iran rather than trying to double down on some sort of a coercive containment of Iran, thinking that will provide security for them.